about Skhillz Academy. And so we have had our open house. And for those of you that were able to join with us for our initial open house or watch it, we are here in the mornings to share with you just a little bit more about us and about Skhillz Academy being an online service, full service for your young adults. So here's what we're all about. And now we're going to jump into a little bit of us and who we are as the educators, providing the absolute once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for your child. So online, providing this year, starting September 8th, 2025 to 2026, the K-5 experience online, with an immersive experience also included in that, with the entire taking into consideration and planning for the entire family experience. So we have all of that coming for you. And then for the 2026-2027 school year, adding on our 6 to 12 experience. We also provide your CTE, PSAT, SAT tutoring, and after-school tutoring this year, 2025-2026, for K-12. So we provide the tutoring aspect, we have the PSAT aspect, the SAT aspect provided for you this year. So let's jump into a little bit of us, and we'll tell you a little bit of some of the challenges that we know as parents are seeking for an experience for this school year. We'll share a little bit about us today. Now, remind you, just join us. Our times will shift a little bit each day, but we're going to be sharing a little bit about us and Skhillz Academy every single day live. So we want to welcome those of you who are here with us today. Just, wait for it to flag because our times will change every single day. We're trying to capture different people at different times, make sure that you are well informed about what we're offering. And so today is our 7, and tomorrow will be a different time, and maybe our 9, and we'll be back and forth, just trying to make sure that the word gets out about what we're offering that's different and what's unique. So we come to you with almost 50 years combined experience in the field of education. And so I'm going to start off with who I am, and then I'm going to have our fabulous CEO chime in afterwards, Dr. Tracy V. Allen. So I'm Julia Bali. I am Professor Julia Bali, and I come to you with 25 years of experience, 15 years teaching, 10 years as a high school principal in New York City. So I've seen a lot of what works. I've seen a lot of what doesn't work in our traditional school settings. I'm currently a professor, and what I do is I do quite a bit of training for new teachers going into the field, diligently working to retain the teachers that are now coming in and support them with their foundational stages of teaching. Now, in my years of teaching, my strength was working with students with disabilities. And I say students with disabilities because it's on both ends of the spectrum. So we may have the students that we find the academic gaps. And so those are students with disabilities, and they have the traditional, IEP written for them. I dealt with the at-risk population, but I also dealt with our gifted and talented population of students, where we don't technically put them in the box of students with special needs. But if we don't support those students, as I was speaking, I did a workshop yesterday, Dr. Allen, and I was having this conversation with the principal there about what's not provided for our more advanced students. Us having our daughters who were definitely out of the box, and me always trying to find like the best learning opportunity for her, and switching her from school to school to school to school.
Well, you did.
Trying to see who can get her the best possible learning experience, because in her elementary school years, she was identified as gifted and talented. And for me, I'm like, okay, so that just means she's learning the information differently at a faster rate. And so they identified, but after that elementary school experience was over, the struggle became real, just
Yeah.
trying to be able to find her. And so what ended up happening, she became a behavioral challenge. I'll tell everyone, like,
Hmm.
she struggled because she was always like, I did the work, mom, I did it, like, so I don't know what else they want me to do, like, what else am I supposed to do? I already completed what they want. And so I always used to tell my teachers, if you don't have a plan for them, they'll have a plan for you. And so
Absolutely.
she would do things that would challenge the environment. So after she's done it, she's going to get into some stuff that maybe she shouldn't be getting into. Or maybe she's going to leave school early because I
Hmm.
shared with someone yesterday, she had like a 98 in English. And what did she do? She showed up, she got the assignments one day. Then she'll show
Hmm.
up and hand in the assignments. She was one of the highest performing students in the class, but she was hardly ever there,
Hmm.
and no one made accommodations for her. And so that on a personal struggle lens, Tracy's going to share, she did it a lot. I wouldn't say easier. She just did it differently than I did. And I want her to
Yeah.
share that. And so basically what we've done is we've taken our years of the things that we've seen, the gaps, the failures that we know that the traditional system um, has unfortunately not solved for whatever the plethora of reasons are. And we've taken those experiences that we have, and not just ours, research, being immersed in the field and just knowing what has worked and listening to other educators and saying, let's provide families with something different. Let's provide them with what we know does work for their students. What do we know? How do we close the gap? How do we provide that real individualized plan that's going to work for the student and their entire family? And so we've taken into consideration all of that, our years of experience, our knowledge, the research, just other challenges that we know educators have had along the years and still having today, and put
Hmm.
that into an online learning experience called Skhillz Academy. And I am the director of Skhillz Academy, Professor Julia Bali. And now I'm going to turn over an introduction to our fabulous, wonderful CEO, the dynamic, who has inceptualized this from, I don't know, it's probably been in her inception for over 10 years now.
Yeah.
Um, before
Yeah.
we were even into the online space, she's always been like, it's sort of like ahead of the game. And so she's been thinking about this for over 10 years. And I am
Yeah.
just super proud of her for, finally putting sort of like all of this fabulous, wonderful planning and vision into reality, and asking me to join her along, with the process and the journey, and just the awesomeness and the dynamic, Dr. Tracy V. Allen, CEO
Oh,
of.
Lord. Yes. So, hi everyone. I am Tracy V. Allen. I am the CEO of Skhillz. Yes, it's a school, but it's not a traditional school, so we don't have traditional titles, right? So we don't have principals, we don't have deans, we don't have all of that stuff. We have our own sets of titles that we wanted to have for the school. So, like Julia said, I am the one who conceptualized this when I left education. So I stopped teaching in officially in 2013, and ever since then. So we're in 2025 now, so it's been a while. Um, so it's been a while, but in 2013, I had this idea for Skhillz Academy, and other things took precedence, like me homeschooling my child, right? And in 2013, the internet was a thing, of course, but online education wasn't as profound as it is today, right? So I had an idea that was not ready for the time that I had the idea, right? So, and then other things happened because, life happens. And I've built other businesses along the way. And finally, this year I said this is the year. As a matter of fact, I was building a SaaS program for Skhillz because it was supposed to be initially something else. Skhillz Academy was supposed to come after this other program that I was building, which was an online platform. And I was having some issues with my developers, and it's been some issues throughout the last 3 years. And finally, I said, listen, if I have to wait on these developers to bring my idea, my dream to fruition, it's probably going to be another 5 years. Sorry. It's probably going to be another 5 years. So I was like, I'm not getting younger, I'm getting older, and this is something I really want to do. And I see the opportunity to do it now, especially with all of the changes happening in education, and just looking again at what's happening online and realizing that the comprehension gap is getting wider and wider and wider. You're getting more information, but it's a lot of misinformation. And I think how to research and really find true facts, like how we had to do our footnotes when you do your papers, is becoming a real issue. And if we don't get our kids as young as possible back to basics in a new and innovative way, we're going to lose a whole generation of children to misinformation. Okay. So that was one of the things that really sparked it for me and was like, okay, you have got to do this now. Because my philosophy has always been that every child, sorry, I'm a little congested this morning, that every child has the opportunity to learn. It doesn't matter what their disability is, there is something that they can learn in some type of way. I do not write off any child based on their disabilities. Okay. You are not your disability. Okay. Your disability just happens to be a part of you. But that's not your identity. So when Julia says I've had a lot of experience with this, I also have 15 years of actual teaching experience. I've taught elementary school, middle school, and adult education. And even after I left education, I was like, I don't want anything else to do with education. I want to do something completely different. I still ended up teaching, but in a different capacity. I ended up teaching business, right? Teaching entrepreneurs how to start their business, how to grow their businesses, how to scale their businesses, doing PDs for nonprofit organizations, social enterprises, and stuff. So I've never stopped teaching. I just stopped teaching inside the classroom on a K to 12 level. But I've been and I taught college as well. So I've been a professor as well, teaching economics classes, business classes as well on the collegiate level for bachelor's and associate degree programs. So I have a long line of teaching experience. I actually started teaching in 19, oh, I'm going to age myself, 1998, I think it
We
was.
both started at the same time.
Yeah,
Yep.
oh, that's right. We did. We
Yeah, we
did. It
started at
just
the
so
same time.
happens that we started at the same time. And again, we've been friends since we were like 7 or 8 years old. So we've known each other practically all of our lives, and we've kind of mirrored
Yes.
each other's actions along the way throughout our lives. Like our kids are almost exactly 1 year apart, literally, right? Our first children
Yeah.
are almost exactly 1 year apart. They were both born in August, 1 year apart. One is August 2nd, one is August 8th. So yeah. So since 1998, yes, I've been teaching since
Yes.
1998. So 20 odd 25, 26, 27 years, something like that. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's been a long time. So
A long time.
I've had my son who had ADHD. I had to learn, I'm like almost an expert on ADHD because I had to learn a lot to deal with his ADHD issues. But one thing I learned about ADHD and why I can speak about disability so well is because I know that having ADHD is not a problem. It's just about rewiring your brain, learning that you are in charge of your brain and not your brain being in charge of you. But some of the smartest children I know have ADHD. Okay. Does it affect some areas of your life? Absolutely. Can you deal with it if you learn brain reconditioning? Absolutely. So, then I have my daughter who was a micro preemie and had some issues with interacting with a large group of people because she was constantly getting sick. So she's only been to private schools. So when we moved to Connecticut and her Catholic school ended up closing, I had a dilemma. Either I put her in another Catholic school where I would have to drive further because the one that was closest to me was the one that was closing, or I would have to put her into public school. And public school was not an option for me. And I did not want to drive further and pay more money to put her into that Catholic school. So it was like the tuition was going to double, basically. So someone suggested homeschooling. Again, I had explored homeschooling when I had my son as well, but I was working a full time job. So that could not work. Uh, so with my daughter, I explored homeschooling, learned all the laws of the state of Connecticut, which really has very loose laws on homeschooling, thank God, unlike some other states, and dived into homeschooling. And at first, I started with the traditional homeschooling, right? So I thought homeschooling was school. So I was teaching it like I was at school. I was frustrating myself, and I was definitely
Yes.
frustrating her.
And
Okay.
her.
Yeah, I was
I
frustrating
remember.
myself. I was definitely frustrating her. And then I had to learn about homeschooling and the different types of homeschooling that you have, and understanding that things can be done differently, right? And you still end up with the same result. So what we did was do a lot of focused homeschooling, allowing her to dive deeper into the areas that she liked the most, but not ignoring the ones that she did not, because she still needs those core skills. But we just spent less time on it, or we created different activities to master those skills. So like math was not her thing, just like Julia's daughter. Anything in the reading comprehension area, so science, social studies, English, writing,
Yes.
excel, has always excelled, always been 3, 4, 5 grade levels ahead. Vocabulary, all of that stuff. Math was the problem, right? And so I learned to use shopping. She liked to go shopping. So I learned to use shopping as a way to shore up her math skills. Okay. You want something, as we're going along, we're adding, we're subtracting, we're multiplying, we're doing percentages, we're doing the whole thing as we're shopping. So I made it a fun activity for her. And I was doing a lot of like vendor events and stuff like that at that time as well. So going to all these different vendor events taught her, a lot of people think about socialization when it comes to online schooling. She was talking
Hmm.
to grown folks and interacting with them. So she wasn't really talking to people her own peers, but I did join a co-op, so she can meet some kids through that co-op as well. But just talking to people and developing a sense of self and who she was, and not being afraid all the time and all of that stuff. So sorry. So doing that was how we learned math. But all of the other subject areas, she readily went ahead and learned them on her own. It was student directed learning, basically,
It's
right?
as it should
Um,
be.
yeah, it was student directed learning. I would buy workbooks, but we would do activities like we'll watch a movie, then we'll break down the movie, because that's English, right? English literature is, that's the same concepts are in movies. So she would even come out with some words that I'm like, where did you learn that? I didn't teach you that yet. Because she was learning on her own. So I would start the learning process, have those conversations, and then she would go ahead and do her own research and made sure that she knew as much about it as possible. Because one thing children like to do is to show you up, right? They want to show you that they're smarter than you, the mom, especially you, the mom, the teacher, who everybody thinks knows everything already. So she was on it. It was like a competition. So just to say, I have a lot of experience in different types of learning styles and learning online, right? With my daughter, and I did a lot of tutoring as well. I still tutor sometimes. Well, not anymore because I'm starting Skhillz Academy, but I tutor for other companies sometimes, just to keep my skills sharp and just to help other kids who need the help. So again, between us, 27 years each of teaching experience gives us to almost 60 years. It's not 50, it's almost 60 years of experience in the education field. And
Because
we're bringing that to
I'm
Skhillz
sticking to
Academy.
50.
Huh? 50 sounds better?
I said
Okay. Well, 50.
I'm sticking to the 50
So,
though.
yeah. So bringing that experience to Skhillz Academy to help you and your children to excel at learning. Learning doesn't have to be frustrating. It doesn't have to be difficult for both the parent and the child, especially if you have a child that has medical issues, some type of a disability, or just public school is just not going to work for you, and you don't have what the finances to do what private school cost, right? Even though this is a private school, we are very economical for people who want to use us, and we do have a hybrid model. So it's not your child just sitting in front of the computer just working on a program all day. It is us actually interacting with your child, so they're still getting that personal touch of having someone who does live instruction as well as the programmatic instructions as well. So it's synchronous and
Yeah,
asynchronous, to use the big words.
synchronous.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're gonna get into definitely more of that on our next live session. We're gonna
Yes.
definitely break down and share more of the live versus digital, synchronous versus asynchronous. So you want to keep looking out for when we go live so that we're sharing the full experience. And we're going to be doing this for the rest of this month and through September. We're going to
Yeah.
just be going live at different times. We have our next open house coming up this evening, actually. So you want to jump on to that open house where we definitely go more in depth with the information this evening for that open house. You want to look, join us on social media. You'll get all the information of when our open houses are. You get to register for our open houses and get that more personalized touch where you can ask your individual questions. And so let's look at, we avoid the one size fits all. So we're not the one size fits all, which unfortunately in your traditional models, they teach to the middle. So if your child does not
Yes.
fall into that middle teaching range, and unfortunately they will not get their needs, their academic needs met. And what we do is we meet your child where they are. We support with filling in the gaps. And if your child is accelerated, we're going to put them on that accelerated track and meet them where they're at as well. So it is truly an individualized educational plan that we collaborate with the parents on, in agreeing on that experience. And so we bring in the real world experience. As Tracy mentioned, we have we have an immersive experience that we bring in. Your child is not on the computer all day. They're not listening to us talk to them all day. There are different opportunities that they get to work on, and that's self-directed, and also working in their community and working with their families. And so the other huge piece that we bring in that's generally a challenge in the traditional model is the family. So we are doing this together. We always said, especially when I started education, they said it takes a village, and we're both, from the Caribbean. So we know that saying, it takes a village to raise a child. And somehow we have lost that along the way in educating our children. And so, as opposed to the traditional model, you are a part of your child's learning experience. You are a part of Skhillz Academy. We do this process together. And so families are included, and you are thought of in so many more ways than we are going to share here with you this morning. We have prepared for you, the family members, in the learning experience as well. And we are talking about flexibility, we're talking about family, and we're talking about individualized learning, something that currently, in a traditional model, is very difficult to attain. And so we are
Definitely.
providing those experiences for your child, and we invite you to join us on our open house that will be happening this evening. At what time? What time is that open house?
7.
I believe it's 7 p.m. 7
Yeah,
p.m.,
7 p.m.
correct?
EST.
EST. So you can
Mhm.
join. You've heard a little bit. We're going to be going live and sharing information daily with you, and you can join in and you can get your individual questions answered at that time, and get to meet us on a more personal level. Is there anything
Yeah.
that you would like to close us off with?
No, yes, actually. I implore you guys, yes, I implore you guys to go ahead. I put the banner below to go and check out skillsacademy.org. The spelling is there so that you don't spell it incorrectly because it's spelled a little unique, right? So go out and check out skillsacademy.org to see all the things that we have that you could possibly get into with your child. And if you have questions, then you can bring the questions to the open house tonight, but check out the website and see if there's something that we can help you with, whether it's enrolling your child full time in the school or using us for tutoring your child and homework help. We are here to help your child to get to the next level and fill that education gap. All right. And see you tonight at 7 p.m. for the open house. That's it. Bye, everyone.
Bye.